So, this is the Vivo V30e and it has a solid camera on a budget. I mean, this smartphone cost about $320 and the camera system on this smartphone is actually better than those who cost about $400 to $500. Well, don't get me wrong here, but this smartphone has a good camera system. But as you know, every smartphone camera has its own ups and downs. And that's what today's video is for. I am going to test its camera in every lighting scenarios. So if you are planning to buy the smartphone or other smartphone in the market and your priority is camera, then you should really watch this review till the end because this smartphone captures some amazingly detailed shots. And I will just start the review of the smartphone by explaining its camera sensors. So the main camera of this Vivo V30e utilizes a 15 megapixel Sony IMX882 sensor. And this sensor is coupled with a 5-feet 26mm lens with an aperture of f1.8. This 50 megapixel Sony IMX882 has a pixel size of 0.8 microns. And yeah, this sensor is quite popular in this price segment. You can find this camera sensor in smartphones like Realme 12 Pro, Realme GT6 NE and Poco F6 and many more. But this camera system has only one downside. It lacks the optical image stabilization, which I am still in complete shock at how much of difference an optical image stabilization can make. As you know, some smartphone offers one of the best low light photos, and that's all because they have amazing OIS, optical image stabilization. And if a smartphone lacks OIS, then you will know it will affect everything like low light, videos, daytime moving shots and many more. And that's what the lack of OIS affect the performance of this Vivo V30e in low light. Well, let me show you some low light pictures. So, as you can see, the lack of optical image stabilization is affecting the pictures significantly. I mean, if the light is low, then the pictures will look blurry because it needs time to gather all the light to produce a clean image. It does depend on the light, as you can see. I love this one because it's amazing with good details and good dynamic range. Plus, there is still some noise, but the image looks good. However, sometimes the camera is not a big fan of harsh lighting, as you can see, but sometimes it handles lighting so well. Plus, keep in mind, you have to stand very still to take low light pictures. And if you do that, then the results will shock you. I mean, look at these two shots. Look at how awesome it captured them. Look at the details and the clarity. I would say the image processing is good for the most part, but sometimes it just boosts the clarity too much. But other than that, the low light pictures are amazing. Look at this image. I am so surprised by the dynamic range here. I mean, it did very well at exposing the lights in that mask. Plus, I have noticed that even the ISO reaches 6000, the image will not have that much noise in it, as you can see. So this means this smartphone can take awesome low light photos. But if there was an optical image stabilization, then this smartphone would have been on a whole new level. Now, if I talk about the daytime, then it produced one of the best daytime shots I've ever seen. I mean, look at these shots. The dynamic range is high, with awesome details and good color reproduction. Plus, I've increased the speed of daytime shots because there are so many. So we can see more and more shots. I really love this 50 megapixel main camera. It's a perfect balance between a flagship camera and an upper mid-range camera. And at this point, it performs admirably well. I mean, I recently reviewed the Redmi Note 13 Pro Plus 5G. And it has a 200 megapixel camera. And I can easily tell that it will be a tie if you compare the pictures side by side. So it's really all about the image processing and the quality of the sensor and lens. I love how the white balance and the dynamic range are consistent with all of these images. Plus, the daytime shots are perfect. I mean, they are not too oversaturated and natural. They are somewhere in between. Now, speaking of saturation and naturalness, this camera has 3 different modes to choose from: vivid, textured and natural mode. As you can see, they work amazingly well. I mean, if you don't prefer the vivid mode, then you can just easily switch to natural mode. And if you want to shoot a bit more texture,
then you can just easily switch to textured mode. But I love the vivid mode because it has the best dynamic range of these three. Now, there is this 50 megapixel mode, and man, it shoots some of the most detailed images with good dynamic range and awesome clarity. As you can see, these images have the best dynamic range. Plus, I am so surprised by the image processing. I mean, when I took these shots, it captured them instantly. There was no lag or anything. So this smartphone captures some of the best 50 megapixel shots. It does an amazing job with skin tones and white balance, and it controls exposure very well, as you can see. It also performs really well in low light conditions. Now, let's talk about the portraits. Because of this bigger sensor, it really takes some of the best portraits I've ever seen. Well, it doesn't have a dedicated telephoto camera sensor. It just zooms in with this 50 megapixel camera, and the portraits are just awesome. Plus, you can adjust the aperture, and there are tons of styles and themes that you can choose from. Well, let me show you some 1x portraits and then 2x portraits. Well, as you can see, it does a good job with the subject separation and background blur. I intentionally messed up my hair to see how it handles it. But as you can see, it handles it very well. Plus, look how the background changes when I lower the aperture from 2.8 to 2.0 and all the way to 0.95, which completely blurred the background. Now, the 2x portraits are just ethereal. Just look at the details, the quality and the dynamic range. I really love the portraits from this smartphone. And when I showed them to some of my friends, they thought that this smartphone has a dedicated telephoto camera. But actually, it doesn't. And that's also an advantage for these portraits. I really love these two shots of my cousin's son, Arham. They look amazingly well. Plus, the smile is very cute. Here are some shots at dawn, when the sun was just going down. And we have to take some portraits, and as you can see, they come out exceptionally well. Now, here are some styles in the portraits. On the left is my little brother Ayan. And see how the style affects the portraits. Well, let me know in the comments section that which one you like. Now, as you know, this smartphone don't have a dedicated telephoto camera, but it can take 2x shots. Now, here are some non-portraits 2x shots, and as you can see, they have good details with average dynamic range and clarity. It's just like taking a picture with main camera and just zoom in. But I really like these shots because they have good details and clarity. It also does an amazing job with skin tones, as you can see. You can also shoot in 3 different styles: vivid, textured and natural mode. Plus, by turning on the HDR, you can see how much difference it can create. The right one is with HDR and the left one is with SDR. Plus, you can take up to 10x shots. But I wouldn't recommend to going beyond the 3x because then the pictures will look less professional with lower quality and clarity. Well, one advantage of this mode is that it's the main camera, so it has a wider aperture. So that really helps in low light, as you can see. It takes some of the best low light shots I've ever seen. But of course, it lacks the OIS, which affects some pictures.
Now, the ultra-wide camera utilizes an 8 megapixel Sony IMX 355 camera sensor, which is coupled with a 16mm lens with an aperture of f2.0. This ultra-wide camera sensor is quite popular and good in this mid-range segment. But this camera sensor is too old. I really don't know why smartphone manufacturers are still using it. Let's test this camera and see how it performs in different lighting scenarios. Hey, you forgot something. Like what? Like the thing you say in mid-video. Yeah, if you are enjoying this video, then a sub to the channel will be... Do you have something in your mind? Yeah. If you are enjoying this video, then a sub to the channel will be astonishing. Yeah.
Now, the ultra-wide camera is just 8 megapixel. So what you can expect? It performs well in this category. The shots are not that impressive in terms of clarity and details, but they look good most of the time. I mean, the ultra-wide camera doesn't utilize a fancy sensor, which is why the dynamic range is average. I have taken tons of ultra-wide shots to test this camera fully, but the results are always the same. So you can just see these pictures or use the timestamps to jump to the selfie camera. Now, the selfie camera impressed me the most. It's a 32 megapixel selfie camera, but it captures amazing selfies, as you can see. Daytime selfies have tons of details with almost no noise and average dynamic range. The selfie camera is not a big fan of harsh lighting, so it doesn't expose the sun well. But turning on the HDR will make some difference. But the difference is not that huge, but it's noticeable. Now, if you turn it on in portrait mode, then the difference is huge, as you can see. Turning on the HDR really enhances the dynamic range, and it looks awesome. Here are some shots of me. They are not in portrait mode, so the camera struggles with exposure, but it does an amazing job with the skin tones. Plus, there is a 2x mode in the selfie camera, but I don't think that many of you will use it. There are also some styles in the portrait mode on the selfie camera. So watch them and let me know which style you like the most. So, the front-facing camera is good for taking awesome selfies. Well, earlier in this video, I mentioned that the lack of OIS affects the performance of this camera, and it mostly affects the video recording. The Vivo V30e can record in 4K at 30 fps, 1080p at 30 and 60 fps, and 720p at 30 fps. Now, here is the 4K video. Look how it handles exposure, color temperature, white balance, and noise. I am so impressed by its video recording capabilities. At this point, it's even better than the Redmi Note 13 Pro Plus 5G. But it's so shaky. Look at this video. It's not stable. Here is a clip of me just casually walking, and look how shaky the video looks. It feels like I'm jumping, but it's just me casually walking. The image quality is top notch. Don't get me wrong here, but because the lack of OIS, the video looks so shaky. Here's another clip, and it's the same story here. The video is so shaky, but it does well in overall clarity, dynamic range, and details. Here's another clip. As you can see, it performs admirably well here. I know it's so shaky, but if I apply a bit of optical image stabilization, you can see how stable it gets. However, it's not as stable as other smartphones with optical image stabilization. I have checked it in every lighting conditions, and the results are the same, even in the low light. Now, speaking of low light, the smartphone surprised me the most. Look at this video. There was so little lighting, but still, the video is not too grainy like some other smartphone in this kind of lighting conditions. Look at the right, it's a Redmi Note 13 Pro Plus 5G. On the left, this is the Vivo V30e. And look at the difference. And that's why I really like this smartphone's camera. The low-light video recording capabilities of the smartphone are just awesome. Here are some other clips.
This is extremely low light situation, and as you can see, I'm walking on the road. So as you can see, it's complete darkness here. Let me know in the comment section how this mic sounds, and also tell me how you see the quality.
Now, the one you are seeing right now was taken in complete darkness, and it's not that grainy. Now, let's go to extreme dark conditions, and man, I really love this camera. You know why? Because if there is no light, the smartphone does not try to increase the ISO to look for something. It stays clean, as you can see. Well, let's compare it. See the difference? That's what I'm talking about. The Redmi Note 13 Pro Plus 5G has so much noise in the video, but there was still light. The Vivo V30e video has no light at all, and it looks like I'm showing you a black color. So yeah, its low light capabilities are top notch. Now, when I turned on the 1080p 60 fps mode, I thought it was going to fix some of that shakiness, but things got worse. The video is still shaky, but the quality got lower from 4K to 1080p. So I would say don't use this mode unless you want to slow it down. Now, that 1080p 30 fps mode does make the footage clean and stable, but at the cost of details. This video mode is much more stable, but its quality is lower. Here is the clip, and I was walking the same way, but the footage is extremely stable. I was surprised when I saw it. The camera's EIS is working awesome here. I wish there was an OIS for the main camera because this would have been the best camera smartphone in this price segment. Now, the 1080p 30 fps from the ultrawide is just average. I mean, what you can expect from this 8 megapixel camera. It offers good dynamic range with average quality, but I still wouldn't use it because it's only 1080p. Now, let's talk about the selfie videos. Selfie videos are just out of this world. It is the first smartphone in this price segment to shoot 4K videos from the front. Look at the details and the dynamic range. I am so surprised by that. Sometimes it handles the dynamic range really well, and sometimes it doesn't, as you can see. Now, the 1080p video also look awesome with average details and good dynamic range. Now, here is a 720p video, but I am just showing it because it's here. But why would someone use 720p video when they can shoot in 4K? Now, the selfie camera also did well in low light because its wider aperture is really helping it. The aperture of this selfie camera is f2.0. Now, slow motion, this Vivo V30e can record slow motion at 720p at 120 fps. And I would say it's just average. I mean, it's just 720p, so it's lower quality.
And yeah, that really brings me to my final verdict.
So yeah, this Vivo V30e has an amazing camera. You saw everything for yourself. This camera performs admirably well in every lighting situations. But it has only one downside, and that is the lack of OIS. This one downside really affects everything. But other than that, the smartphone could have been the next camera smartphone if you are just looking for casual photography and videography. Plus, there are other options in the market that you should really check out. Now, you may ask if I recommend this smartphone at this price point. I would say yes, for those who just need a smartphone for overall use with some casual photos. And I will not recommend this smartphone for those who take so many videos and want a performance-driven smartphone. So now the choice is yours. Are you looking for a smartphone to choose videos or just photos? Well, let me know in the comment section about your thoughts.
So yeah, this was a full camera review of the Vivo V30e smartphone. If you learned something new and useful from this camera review, then please subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon to not miss a review video like this one. And if you like this video, then give it a thumbs up and leave your thoughts in the comment section below. My name is Bazar, this is Tech, and see you in the next video. If you want to watch the full review of the Vivo V30e, then that video is right here. And if you want to watch the full review of the Redmi Note 13 Pro Plus 5G camera, then that video is right here. Thank you for watching.